Hey guys, Pastor Kevin, Pastor Daniel, bringing the book of Proverbs home for you today. Last episode of the book of Proverbs. We are scheduled right now to have Sean Smith do the book of Ecclesiastes with us. I hope we can get that worked out. Haven't worked out all the details yet, but I'm pretty excited if Sean's able to be in here for that with us. It'll just be fantastic. But just one last episode here of the book of Proverbs, and to fit this in is not going to be easy, but we're going to give it a good go. So here we go, guys. Let's do this thing. Last episode. All right. It's been quite a journey.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's been good. We actually filmed all these on one day, and I'm looking down at my magic clock, and it says 12:09 on my magic clock, and we started about 9:15 this morning filming. I think, 6 episodes we've done? Is that right, Tanner? 6 episodes? We've done 6 episodes of Proverbs. This is our 6th one. But it's been good.
Yeah.
I mean, it has been good. What have you enjoyed the most about this?
I think, honestly, just the kind of organic flow that we followed with this book. And I think the book kind of flows that way too, but just kind of feeding off each other and letting the Spirit lead the conversation. The one thing that's what I enjoy most. At the same time, it is a little bit disappointing that we can't cover more of what's, because I think if I could give any encouragement to maybe there's people watching that are a part of Bible studies and they just kind of go from book to book in the Bible. Mm-hmm. I would encourage you to go through this in your study time with your Bible study, just to see who gets drawn to certain verses and who gets drawn to other verses. Because a lot of times I've done this study with a group of people many years ago. Did this with Josh Shinoga and some different people out of a house, and we did a house Bible study on the book of Proverbs. And it was so amazing to hear the different things that God spoke to people about as it related to different verses. And I think there's a lot of things we can glean from what God has revealed to other people from this book. And so that is a little bit frustrating because you and we can't go line by line in this and talk about all these things, but we are kind of running with what God has given us as it relates to sometimes not even 3 verses.
That one episode was like 28 minutes, and we talked about 3 verses.
But I've loved that because it's really allowed us to get to the depth of certain things that really will help people walk closer with the Lord.
So. And it's interesting, guys, because, when we were in a break between 2 of the sessions that we filmed this day, Sela was standing over here, and she said, I would love for you guys to just create an entire vodcast around just a single book. Yeah. And we're doing that kind of now. Yeah. But if we could extend that out.
I'd love to do this one.
Yeah, it would be great. Yeah. And that's the thing. That's what we want to do with this platform. We want to kind of create a masterclass of Bible study videos so you guys can go to them and access them at any time. Mm-hmm. When this finishes up, right around Thanksgiving, Friday before the first Sunday of Advent, correct, Tanner?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll finish this up the Friday before the first Sunday of Advent. Pastor Daniel, we're not going away. Pastor Daniel is going to do this with his Advent series, okay? The one that I'm actually in preparation for right now is a harmony of the Gospels. So at the first of the year, that one will be posted. So we're just going to continue to work on these, and build a catalog of different video series that you guys can go to and you guys can study on your own on our YouTube channel. So this has been a lot of fun. So here we go. Let's finish this up. Proverbs 27 through 31. I don't want to land on this, but isn't it interesting how chapter 27 begins? Do not boast about tomorrow, for you don't know what a day may bring. Sounds like Jesus in Matthew 6 on that one. You continue to go down through, got all of these wise sayings, and then we get over to chapter 30, and again, this is not Solomon, this is the sayings of Agur, son of Jacob, an inspired utterance. So that's what you're getting in chapter 30, and then you shift over to chapter 31, and you get the sayings of this person, King Lemuel,
Yeah.
who is offering, the wisdom that God has placed in his heart. So again, is the book of Proverbs Solomon's book? I mean, yes, I'm never going to deny that, okay? But to say it's exclusively Solomon's book, that's incorrect. Look, guys, that's not sacrilegious. Yeah. It's just not right. It's to say that it's exclusively Solomon's book isn't biblical, because it's not what it says. Let it be what it is, but let's always remember what we've said in this. What you're reading here is the Spirit-inspired wisdom of God that has been compiled by these writers and assemblers to offer us so that we can get a taste of what Solomon prayed for, what James in his book calls us to pray for in the New Testament. If any of you lacks wisdom, ask, and God will give it to you liberally.
Yeah.
So before we get into Proverbs 31 and the wife of noble character, anything in addition that you want to offer?
I want to ask you a question.
Oh boy, here we go. This is unrehearsed,
so
friends.
let me read a couple verses here, and then I'll ask the question.
Where are you at?
All right, so we're going to start in 27. We're going to pick up two verses in 27. We're going to pick up one verse in 28.
This isn't a quarrelsome wife.
No.
Okay, good.
And one verse
Don't set
29.
me up like that.
No. I'm not going to do that to you. So, verse 5 of chapter 27 says, "An open rebuke is better than hidden love." Okay? Verse 17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so one friend sharpens another friend." Verse 1 of 28, it's a little bit unrelated, but it still isn't because of the second part of it here, and I like what it says about boldness. "The wicked run away when there is no one no one chasing them, but the godly are as bold as lions." And then finally, verse 1 of chapter 29. "Whoever stubbornly refuses to accept criticism will suddenly be destroyed beyond recovery." So here's my question.
Can I be honest with you? As I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, did I do something wrong? Is he about to publicly rebuke me in front of everybody?
No.
Oh my gosh.
But that is related to my question. Why is it that as believers we struggle to be transparent with one another, meaning this? Why is it that we are oftentimes more reserved when we're actually instructed to communicate truth in love and also to be receptive to that truth in love? Why is it that we struggle on both ends of that?
Well, I think it's ego. That's the most accessible answer, I think.
Okay.
I think it's pride on the person's part, ego on the person's part, to just not see that. It's hard for somebody to welcome from another their own flaws.
Okay.
I even when they know them, even when they know it's true. Sometimes it's a relief, but other times it's hard. It's hard to look at your spots, your stripes, your scars, your wounds. It's hard, your weaknesses, your frailties. That's hard to do because somehow you think if I show that, I'm going to lose ground some way. We teach that class. Leslie and I teach that class on Tuesday nights to young couples. And one of the very first lessons we ever taught, that's what one of the husbands said. When we're arguing, even when we know we're wrong, we are scared to death we're going to lose ground. And I think when somebody comes to you and points it out, it's tough.
Yeah.
I think part of that is, has the person offering it earned the right to say that to you?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? A lot of times when somebody says something to me, even if it's true, I may look at the person and say, I don't know if you've earned the right to say that to me, whether I say it or I say it. I think not everybody enjoys confrontation.
Yeah.
So they may see it and they don't want to address it.
Well, now, I think we've said on the other side of that as well, why didn't you just tell me that? Right? And it's far as, and I totally agree with you on the one that's receiving the criticism or receiving the open rebuke, sometimes it can be very hard for us to receive that because of egos that are present or the ground that we may feel that we may lose in being vulnerable in offering, yeah, I was wrong. But on the other side, like that to me is where, like, I don't think we're very good at communicating truth in love.
I'm not.
But like, that's my bigger struggle that I think would in tailoring this question to maybe focus on that side a little more, to say, why is that such a struggle? Why is it such a struggle to, like, not necessarily like, I know this personally. I don't like when people hint at something but don't directly tell me. If you tell me that I'm doing something wrong, I can fix it. You know what I mean? Like I can try to fix it. Like, and that, I think that comes from like an athletic background where they didn't care how you felt about what they were going to tell you. They told you the truth regardless.
And you can hit the bricks.
Right. And if you don't like the truth that you're receiving and your response is negative towards that truth, you can go away. Right. So,
next man up.
Exactly. So I've become accustomed to that, but like,
yeah, but that's not how the church works.
But
I can't just say next man up.
That's right. But the church still has to communicate the truth.
Not even a question. But here, let me say this.
Go ahead.
We might make it to Proverbs 31. Like, this is a phenomenal question, guys. I mean, like, this is a phenomenal question.
This will help us grow.
And can I be honest? This is a great question for you to ask me.
Okay.
Because, watch this. And I'm okay. Even what I'm about to say is answering your question.
Okay.
You're how old?
34.
I've known you since you were 14 years old.
Right.
Okay?
Yep.
You are clearly not my child. You are the child of Ed and Carla Strosnider.
Yep.
And they are phenomenal parents, and I would never assume that role. But there is part of me that sees you as my kid.
Yeah.
Now, my kid is sitting right over there.
Right.
Tanner, are you able to speak into your little mic back there?
Yes.
Okay. Do I ever hesitate to tell you what I think about your performance, good or bad?
No.
I don't always do that with you.
I know that to be true. Yeah.
And here's why. I have lived every day of his life with him.
Right.
I've walked with him through holding him second after his mother, probably third because the nurse took him first, and then I got him, to today.
Yeah.
He's 29 years old.
Right.
I mean, he slept in the bedroom next to me.
Right.
I changed his pants. I fed. I mean, like, there is something that's built between father and son that I think is different.
Okay.
That is built between adult and student, mentor, mentee, and now this weird relationship that we're trying to figure out and I truly believe this.
Yeah.
What's the word I'm looking for?
Colleagues.
Yeah. My 54, nearly 55-year-old brain was kicking in. Colleagues.
Yeah.
How? Because I think I have things that I can teach you. And I think there are things you can teach me. I struggle with this role here at Kingdom.
Yeah.
And I struggle with it. It's not just with you. It's with everybody.
Right.
Because I'm so committed to unity around here that I don't quite understand how to bring my years of experience and the wisdom that I have to all of you without making you feel
right.
or think, I should say, that I'm asking you to compromise the excellence that you are.
Okay.
I don't quite understand it yet, but I can tell you I'm deeply committed to it. And I think, when people hear us talk about, hey, we're at a great place and all of this, Daniel and I don't hate each other. We've never hated each other. We love one another. But if you guys think that this is a dancing partner just came naturally. It hasn't.
Right.
Because there's been so much transition over the years.
Right.
And I think that we are committed in our relationship to trying to figure it out. Even in recent months, how many times have I said to you, all right, look, I'm just going to drop my guard and say this.
Yeah.
And it's weird because you think, oh my gosh, has Kev been holding back from me?
Right.
It's not like I was trying to keep things from you or anybody else. But you want to figure it out so it's not damaging to the unity that God created. And you have to give people space for their feelings about it. That's something that I've had to learn over the years.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about something for a while.
Right.
If I share that with the person, I have to give them space to think about it for a while.
Right.
You know, this is a great discussion.
Yeah.
And it's not like it caught me off guard because I think about this stuff all the time. You know,
but per what you're saying for the viewers, in even getting more specific into the question of like, why is that a struggle? Like one of the things that I hear you, like,
I don't want to hurt you either.
No, right.
Because I love you.
One of the things I hear you saying too, as you share the example of the relationship with your son, is it almost sounds like one of the reasons this is a struggle in communicating truth to a friend, to an extended family member, to a coworker,
to your spouse.
Right. It may be one of the reasons. Not like the reason, but it sounds like one of the reasons may be a lack of intimacy, a lack of closeness,
which may not be a contentious lack of intimacy.
Right.
It may be we just haven't figured that out.
That's
yet.
right. Yeah. Okay. Like what else? Like anything else you want to add to that?
So here's what I'll say. I used to not care how I corrected him.
Yeah.
I was dad, your son, shut your mouth, do what I told you.
Right.
Now, thank God that hasn't been in recent years.
Right.
But Tanner will tell you, the kids will talk sometimes about how I was. Like, I'll just tell you, it's not because I was hiding anything. It wasn't relevant to our discussion. There was an episode, I think it was like the second episode in this Proverbs study, where you were talking about the whisper. Mm-hmm. And when you said that, it triggered something in me. Because, and Tanner will tell you this, one of the ways I used to discipline the boys, and it was awful, and I'm embarrassed about it to this day, I would strongly take them when they were little boys, by the arm and get right in their ear and whisper hard things to them.
Yeah.
It's one of the most regrettable things. And if you think, any of you think, I have not begged God's forgiveness for this, and if you think that the enemy has not shamed me for this, you're out of your mind.
Yeah.
It was terrible how I spoke to those kids. And I'm embarrassed about it to this day. I know God's forgiven me, but I still got to work through my garbage.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I would never speak like that to him now, but I had to learn how to do that.
Yeah.
You know? And I just keep picking on you because you're sitting here.
Right.
But I don't have 29 years with you.
Right.
Especially in the role that we're in now.
Yeah.
And so part of me is trying to figure that out, you know? But how do I speak to Sela so I don't take away from the value that she possesses as an individual and yet help her become the woman that God has called her to be?
Right.
Riley has just started as an intern with us. How do I speak to Riley, who is, you know, a college kid, because that's how I see her. I see her as a kid, and yet draw her in without making her feel less than.
Right.
I think that's part of it as well.
Yeah.
I think some people, it's just the more convenient route to just gossip about people or cut ties with people.
Right.
I don't want to live like that.
Yeah.
I really want to grow in intimacy of relationship and figure out, unity in the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, one of the things that you and I have talked about in the past is, like, this is a phrase I do not use anymore. Listen, I'm giving you my life's work.
Right.
That's a terrible thing to say.
Right.
It's kind of true.
Right.
But at the same time, when it becomes about your life's work, what?
Yeah.
Don't quote to me then, if the Lord doesn't build the house, the laborers labor in vain.
Yeah.
So if this is the Lord's house, going back to what you said in one of the earlier episodes, one plants, one waters, God provides the increase. Okay, if it's not me that's providing the increase, if I'm just the planter or the waterer, how can I take ownership of something that's not really mine?
Yeah.
And so all of those things, but I think you have to put them into the equation and say, yeah, I've done this since I was 27 years old, that summer of 1998. And how do I, and I'm going to say this, not because I believe this, but just kind of the language, how do you give up your pulpit? 24 Sunday, it's not my pulpit.
Right.
How do you let him preach? It's not his word. And neither one of us approach a sermon like this is what I have to say.
Yeah.
Your style is your style. My style is my style. And that's how God's made us to be. But at the same time, you know, it's still God's pulpit.
Yeah.
You know, I hope I'm answering
No,
your question.
you are. Yeah, and I think like one of the things that like it kind of like if we're coming into our world here a little bit at the church, like we're always trying to be better in communicating to our employees of just like saying like, hey, like I'm not trying to be right when I tell you you're not doing your job.
I love that.
When you're not doing your job. I'm passionately communicating with you. There's a responsibility that needs carried out, and I believe in you, and I want you to believe in yourself so that responsibility is carried out. You and I say this all the time, and I think it's important that leadership flows in this way. Like, not every, and I've learned this the hard way. Not everybody cares. Like, let me just say it this way: not everybody cares about this book as much as I do. You're right. Not everybody cares about the work at the church as much as we do. Right. And I'm not saying that in a prideful way. Like I have people ask me all the time. I say, "What's your real job?" Right. So
I get that question all the time.
Right. So like that, but that's fine. And I have no malice towards those people that say that. They just don't understand. But there is a need for us to communicate to those that we're closest with, from a place of truth and passion, but this is the question that I told you I'd been asking myself for quite some time. How do I care enough to care, but care enough not care enough to be right? Like I have to have my way, and this is how you do it. And that in my house, like when I was being raised, like there was like just like we said episodes ago about cutting the grass. There was a way you cut the grass. There was a way that you vacuumed the carpet.
And don't freelance.
Right. That's right. And this is how you do it. And so those things have become strongly rooted in us. And I think trying to undo some of those things so that we more effectively communicate with each other is a necessity. But it's by no means it's a hard question. And that's what I'm saying. Like this, I'm not saying that this is something that we all struggle with, you know, and I don't think it's this is my nature. I don't think it's best to leave the truth undone because you're actually injuring the person and maybe prolonging an injury or problem,
I agree with that totally.
You know, that needs to be worked out, and it's hard to do that.
So let me add this too, and we're probably not going to get to Proverbs 31. Yeah. We may do a very short addendum to the book of Proverbs, just so people can hear from Proverbs 31. But when you're talking there, I'm thinking of Acts 6.
Okay.
In those days, when the number of disciples was increasing.
Yes.
Jamie used to say, more people, more problems.
Yes.
In those days, when the number of disciples was increasing, the Hellenistic Jews among them, here's what it says, complained against the Hebraic Jews because their widows were being overlooked in the daily distribution of the food. So the 12 take it into their hands and they make it right.
Right.
This is one of the answers to the question.
Yeah.
If you're complaining, that's not good.
Right.
And I think that's what you're saying. And we read this all through the book of Proverbs. lose the complaints, lose the gossip. If there's a problem, let's sit down
Yeah.
and let's talk about the problem. I think one of the things that has helped us is we just talk.
Right.
We just talk.
Right.
And we know we can pretty much say anything to each other at this point.
Yeah.
And I think, again, I use the illustration of a dance or the metaphor of a dance. I think we were learning
Yeah.
how to do. It's just like a marriage.
Right.
You know, what can I say? What can I not say? What are you bringing to, this was our lesson on Tuesday night. What are you bringing to the relationship? What am I bringing to the relationship? This has been an amazing discussion.
Yeah.
So, guys, let's do this, okay? We're going to do a short version of Proverbs 31.
Love it.
Okay, so we're just going to add one more to it. Watch that on your own. Keep up with the daily reading tomorrow, but we're going to do one more quick version of Proverbs 31. What a great question.
Praise
This was fantastic. I love it. Hopefully it'll help your relationships. Amazing. Praise God. One more. We'll see you tomorrow with a new episode. We will post 2 with this episode, this and the Proverbs 31. God bless you. Join us for Proverbs 31 and the next one tomorrow. God bless.